Pixar movies. Back when I still watched them, that is. Wreck-It Ralph was definitely at the top of my list. It was a great, fresh, new story on a character we knew nothing about. And these days, with originality being so scarce, it was a big deal. On the other hand, a film I hate with a passion is this movie's sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet. But we'll get to that. Let's break down its far better predecessor first. Ralph is a video game villain, and what we learn about this world is that for the video game characters, both good and bad, this is all just a job, with one objective, or dare I say,
directive?
To bring the kids enjoyment. Man, that sounds familiar.
Doesn't matter how much we're played with. What matters is that we're here for Andy when he needs us. That's what we're made for, right?
We later find out that while the heroes are living the high life, the villains are having to cope with the consequences of their in-game character personas. Ralph doesn't like being seen as just a villain.
I don't want to be the bad guy.
And most of all, being treated as one even outside of his game.
You see, Ralph, there's no room for you up here.
So he has a simple equation to flip everything around. To get a medal. Only heroes earn medals. So if he got one, he would then too become a hero. So he does just that. He jumps into another game and tries to earn a medal. Side note, there is an actual term used among the video game characters when someone decides to do something like this, like game jump, called going turbo, which is a key detail for the sake of the movie, but not so much for this breakdown. He successfully gets the medal, but awakens one of the game's monsters and can't subdue it. Fast forward to meeting Vanellope. She's a classic annoying child who for some reason is also being ostracized by her peers because she's a glitch.
I actually feel kind of cool for once, and then all of a sudden, oh no, I'm glitching! Hey! See? You're an accident, just waiting to happen. Oh no! I glitched too!
After one thing leads to another, Ralph and Vanellope become friends, overlooking the flaws that their peers see and judge them for. Then we fast forward again. Vanellope finds out she needs to reset her game in order for her to be a playable character again, and that the antagonist, King Candy, is to blame, also that he isn't everything he says he is. I'm not going to go too much into detail with this either, so I'll just say watch the movie for yourself if you really want to know. This is still to be considered as one of the great Pixar films out there, so do have fun with it. And besides, do you really want some YouTuber spoiling all the fun for you? I don't think so. Anywho, Ralph sees his new and only friend in trouble, so he goes off to make the ultimate sacrifice in order to save her.
It's game over for both of you.
No. Just for me.
The dramatic music plays, and he comes to terms with being seen as just a bad guy. And it doesn't bother him anymore, because he finally has someone in his life who thinks the world of him, and that's all he ever wanted and needed. Now, let's hold on to that thought, and I'm going to ask that you remember that key element throughout the rest of this episode, because it's very important. To continue, Vanellope shows up at the last minute, uses her glitch ability to save Ralph, and we're left with Ralph being happier than ever, because as he says for himself here,
Because if that little kid likes me, how bad can I be?
what a sweet, wholesome ending to a great movie. This is the way movies should be done. This is the foundation that most animated movies and most Disney movies used to be based on. Lessons were learned, epiphanies were made, and bonds were created by overlooking flaws and disabilities within others. Then the sequel was made and trashes all that. Ralph Breaks the Internet is the beginning and downfall of what Disney is currently and has since become. A company that peddles messages of girl bosses, empowerment, and misandry. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. But let's stay on topic. Everything Disney worked so hard on with Wreck-It Ralph that made it original and unique is ripped apart and thrown out the window in the sequel because they decided instead of taking an opportunity to make another wholesome message, they decided to include topics like destructive relationships, female empowerment, and toxic masculinity. Yeah, all the things kids need to hear about these days. Here we go. Let's break it down. It starts off with Ralph and Vanellope spending time together and living out their lives in a daily routine, which is the same for every video game character as well, because remember, their only job is to entertain kids and stay relevant, so as not to be unplugged and soon replaced. But Vanellope, channeling her inner female, is starting to become dissatisfied with everyday life and wants more.
Realize we're basically just like zeros and ones floating around the universe like tiny specks of dust. Like, doesn't the very nature of our existence make you wonder if there's more to life than this?
Remember, these are still computer-generated characters, so even though there are other characters out there, such as the toys in Toy Story, who can have longing for something more after their kids grow up, these are characters created by a bunch of zeros and ones and should be locked into their
Directive?
more firmly. But I digress. So Vanellope's game gets broken, and it's only a matter of time before the manager is forced to unplug her game if he can't replace the part, which costs thousands of dollars. While all this is happening, the owner also gets the internet and uses it to find said replacement piece. But so do Ralph and Vanellope. They enter the internet, and this is where everything goes tits up. Vanellope sees how much bigger of a world is out there and eventually develops a longing for the bigger piece of the pie. But Ralph isn't for all these big changes and is happy with the life he has with his best friend.
Why would I wonder if there's more to life when the life I got is perfect? I got a best friend who just happens to be the coolest kid in the whole arcade.
Things get even worse for Ralph when Vanellope is soon introduced to a badass racer woman who is fluent in feminist ideology and starts filling her head with empowerment propaganda, telling her that it's okay to leave your friends if they're holding you back. Yeah, leave your friends, even if in the last movie they were ready to throw it all away just so that you could go on living. Ralph ends up hearing their conversation, and Disney then decides to make our beloved hero into a jealous control freak who doesn't want to let Vanellope go and can't take the rejection she's putting him through. Yep, that's right, people. They used our beloved Ralph to illustrate what women go through in a toxic relationship with a man who just can't take no for an answer. This is such a horrible thing to do to this character because he spent all his first movie being judged and hated by his peers, and now they make the one person he cares about and trusts more than anything also stab him in the back too. What were they thinking? Ralph then attempts to sabotage Vanellope's new interests so he can keep his friend. Man, they really are painting Ralph in a bad way here. Because, yes, he's losing his only friend and he's freaking out over the thought of being alone again. But this is all being done through the perspective of the female character only, Vanellope. I guess Ralph's feelings don't matter here, so let's just make the misunderstood man the villain, right? Let's continue. Ralph and Vanellope are trying to collect money via the internet to buy the broken piece for Vanellope's game. And while Vanellope is going around advertising, oh yeah, I forgot. Ralph becomes what is to resemble a TikTok star or a meme, and is using his newfound popularity to get likes and earn money. Was all this really necessary for a kid's film? References to Google, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube? You wouldn't have reached these kids without having to use these things? Anyway, Vanellope stumbles upon the Disney website and goes exploring to be led to the Disney princesses. And oh man, get your sports cups ready, gentlemen, because your manhood is about to be attacked again. The Disney princesses have been revamped and modernized, being given a feminist makeover, new ideology, man-hating included. The developers went out of their way to have the new and improved princesses fill Vanellope's head with even more propaganda, even going as far as saying that all the princes that saved them in their films actually didn't save them, but oppressed them and stole their thunder.
Do people assume all your problems got solved because a big strong man showed up?
Yes, what is up with that?
Let's fast forward, shall we? Ralph becomes a giant virus, or rather, I should say, his longing to keep his friend does, or aka his emotions. Which is another male stereotype saying that we can't show our feelings, and eventually they build up and make us turn into monsters. Or as the women would call it, his masculine inclination to control females. And this virus threatens the existence of all things in the internet, which I quite frankly don't see as a bad thing, but that's just me. So Ralph has to battle his inner oppressive demons in order to again save Vanellope. But all the girl bosses, princesses, come in and save the big strong man and even put him in a dress to add insult to injury. And the virus is defeated. Ralph then has to let go of his only friend. Because if he doesn't, he's a controlling toxic man keeping Vanellope against her will, thinking only of himself. Even though Vanellope is the one leaving him to pursue her own interests, letting go of everything Ralph sacrificed for her in the previous movie. You see, I told you that hold on to that key fact, because it's going to come full circle, and here it is. But that was Ralph Breaks the Internet. Now do you see why I hate this film so much? Because it wasn't made for people like me, aka all men and boys, 50% of the world's population. I wasn't the target demographic, and either were you. So, way to go, Disney. You used a good character from a great movie to talk about a topic that is one-sided and is only seen through a feminist lens. It's funny that in the first film, they talk about a male character overcoming a stereotype of him being seen as just an angry bad guy. But then, with the sequel, they double down and erase all that character development to just make him be seen as a different male stereotype all over again. Well, we made it through the feminist-filled Ralph Breaks the Internet. And we're still in one piece. At least I think. Until next time, guys and gals, I'll see you in the next one. And remember, every story has two sides. Disclaimer. Not all dialogue in Ralph Breaks the Internet is 100% represented by the things said in this eye-opening breakdown. But even though things aren't stated verbatim from the film, it doesn't change the end result of the movie, nor the direction or stances taken by select characters. Even though this is just a comedic satire to point out the ridiculous messages Disney chooses to put out there for our female youth, this by no means should undersell the seriousness of the situation. But these are just my opinions.